Now those of you who are holding your coffee cups up high and waiting to clunk them down simultaneously with mine, we'll get there. Not to worry. Nothing's wrong. We're just starting this morning's episode out just a little bit differently. Please bear with me. Okay, I think it's safe to play the music now. I didn't dare clunk the coffee cup down a moment ago. We were set up too precariously. And look at the time. This has got to be the all-time earliest I've ever been to the model table. Now, if you notice the screen sort of blinking on and off there, well, that's because we had a huge thunderstorm go through here. It started about an hour ago. Woke me up. Lightning was flashing. Our lights actually blinked on and off, or maybe I should say off and on. And yeah, so we are really early this morning. Now, removing that little the clamp off of our little part here. I wonder how strong that is. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It's probably okay. Anyway, we can now officially turn the page. Okay, now, in order to see how it is we got to this place, we have a mediumly long rollback. So why don't we just roll back and see how it is we got to the place where we can now turn the page. Okay, we are basically continuing on from yesterday's episode. And on this very, very warm morning, I was outside about 15 minutes ago, and I was just, you might say, shocked at how warm it was already. And I'm looking at my thermometer right now, and it says 32.2 Celsius, and that's in the shade. And it's not even 11 in the morning yet. Yeah. Anyway, we've got to get a little ladder here. It's called B19. Now, I'm pretty sure we already got it. In fact, I know we do. I just looked a few minutes ago. Okay. Now, somebody was wondering, where did this wax pencil come from? It looks kind of fancy. What we got going on here, I believe, is a bunch of little gemstones. I don't know how you're supposed to be able to get them out. But what this thing is designed for, I think, is that you can pick up a little gemstone or whatever, and you put them on your fingernail, and then you use fingernail polish. Now, I am not going to be doing this. But... and then you use this end here to move stuff around. I think that's what it's all about. Anyway, you can get them on Amazon. Somebody was asking Tony, where did he get it? Maybe somebody else would want to know. I'll just put the link to where you can get these on Amazon. I think they're $10 or something delivered to the house, and that's here in Canada. I can't remember exactly the price anymore. However, enough about that. Let's recompose here and see where it is we have to put our little ladder. somewhere on the side. Something like, I'm probably going to drop it, but we'll use tweezers. Okay, letting gravity be our friend here, and being super careful because the other end of this boom is what's holding this thing up. You can't see it, the starfish is in the way, but it's just resting on the table here. And so I want to be careful not to be pushing down on this or I'm going to snap our boom off. Now, if you will remember, and you probably can't see it too good, but there's a little gap right there, and if I had planned ahead, like there's a gap in the railing where the two ends meet, it's about 2 millimeters, spacing of about 2 millimeters. Now our ladder has to go right here, and it would have been probably a lot more believable if this gap had been here. Now the ladder apparently goes up against the side of this. We're just going to do a dry run here, and I was saying earlier that I don't think we can use the wax pencil, but let's just give it a whirl here, and see if we can't just drop this down on there, and how does it fit? I haven't tried it yet. Okay, it's not going to go in. Maybe it is supposed to. Okay, now I'm going to need the tweezers because I've gone and wedged it in there. I don't think the wax pencil will pick it out. It might. Okay, there we go. How would it be if I was to mount it? No, that's not going to want to work either. Okay, if I wanted to take advantage of that gap in the railing, I could put the ladder like that. That might be sort of believable, except that, you know, the person going up the ladder would. This whole thing should have been more over here, because you know, if I put the ladder back here, it's going to be too close to this gap here, and somebody, you know, is going to step off there. Maybe having the mast laying on its side is not a good idea. Maybe I should have it just slightly off perpendicular, so that I can stand this ladder up on the starfish and have it just sort of lean against right there. I think that would be more believable. I'm going to reposition. Okay, right now our lantern is leaning back a little, probably about 15-20 degrees. And maybe I should do it. No, I don't want to do a dry run because it's going to probably just fall in. On the other hand, it might not. But the idea is I want to set the ladder right there. And I'm going to put a little bit of CA medium, just a little blob of it, on the top. I was planning on using my macro lens, except that when I use the macro lens, everybody can see the horrendous amount of, got to get this coming here, you know, the horrendous amount of CA that's going on there. It looks a lot worse than it really is. Okay, now being as that that's the medium, it's not gonna set up right away. Now, just want to set this in place here. Whoops, trying to steady myself as best as possible. I guess I should have rigged up a steady rest before I started here. Okay, now if the top cures like that, then I'll reinforce the bottom, and once it's all painted over with the number 66 I think we're using here, yeah, it should look okay. Now speaking of painting, I'm going to have to be very careful, and it's going to be a little bit awkward trying to paint in all these little delicate areas without. Now this is where the airbrush would really excel. You know, I'm looking at it now from a different angle, And it appears that we're something different to poke with here. I can use a holder downward. It looks like the bottom of the ladder is too much to the left. Oh, that's better. Okay, that looks better actually. I probably only moved it about a millimeter, if that. But now at least when I look straight on in this direction, it could maybe even go a tiny bit more. Okay, what has happened is that this is cured already, and it's not letting me move it. Well, that's a good thing. Okay, as long as we're dealing with ladders, and we've got everything sort of sloped back, this ladder is supposed to lean on the side of the mast. Now, excuse my ugly finger. Okay, something like that. I'd like to get it straighter if I could. Okay. Sorry, I hope I didn't poke my finger in your eye. Maybe if I was to spring the ladder the other way, it's sort of bowed a little bit. If it was to maybe be just turned around. Yeah, end for end, so that the I got it just wrong, don't I? Okay, if I could get it so that the bottom of the ladder was touching the post, and the top of the ladder was touching not the post, but the mast. Now, I don't know if that's exactly right. I'm trying to think of how would somebody come up this and vault himself into the crow's nest, or whatever they call that part. But I don't think we need to worry about that. I think the idea is that when you look at it from arm's length away, you're not going to be able to see all those little technical flaws. Okay, maybe we could adhere the bottom of the ladder and the bottom of this little short ladder at the same time. So we've got to get in there. I think first of all, though, I'm going to maybe put a little bit of CA extra thin right there at the top, and that'll keep the whole thing from falling off. Okay, I will put on the macro lens for that. Okay, what I have going on here now is, I may as well tell you, when I was repositioning for the macro lens here, I accidentally knocked the ladder off. And then doing something else, I knocked it off again. And then I thought I'll use the holder downward to come up against it here to help hold it against the mast. But because the mast is so delicate, it was pushing it out of shape, so to speak. So what I've got going now is the Bob Smith Industries quick setting. And it's not coming. Why is it not coming? Oh, there it is. I just wanted to wick down into the ladder. I don't want it to, I didn't want to touch the ladder with the applicator because it would stick to it. Now, that really looks like there's a huge amount of glue on there. I kid you not, my friend. You will not see that from arm's length. You won't even see that looking up close. But I think that's actually going to be okay once it's painted.
Hey, Ron, you're using too much glue.
Ah, shut up. I sure told him, didn't I? Okay, the last episode has been posted now for just over 2 hours, and I was reading my comments, and Mark Livingston was mentioning that possibly what I could do is I could use CA extra thin to release the glue on this gun here that's wrong, and then I could put these ones in its place. But Mark, I've been thinking about it, and I think I'm just going to leave them. Thanks for the suggestion. Excellent idea, but I'm afraid I'm just going to end up making a mess. Stuff like that is not my expertise. That's the kind of stuff that Nigel is really good at. Anyway, not that I probably couldn't sort of do it, but I don't think anybody's going to notice if we have these guns on the deck where these ones were supposed to be. Anyway, another suggestion that was in yesterday's video was Jason from Model Kit Stuff, and he suggested that maybe now is a good time to do the rigging if there's any rigging that has to go on this. Now, I was thinking about it, and yeah, there's probably rigging that has to come down from the Starfish, but I've got a feeling it has to fasten onto the deck somewhere, or maybe it's yeah. So I'm going to just sort of wait on that. Now, the only thing we've got left here to do for step 31 is this little piece here, number 7. It's much like that little piece that we were looking at that had the piece of flashing on the end of it that we used the super macro to look at. I'm just going to go ahead and get that now, and maybe we can get that on yet this evening. And once that's on, and that little tiny piece, where is that? I hope I didn't lose it. I think it's in here somewhere. I hope. Yeah, there it is. I can see it in the corner here. Okay, once we get those two pieces on, step 31 here is done. We've done everything on it. We can turn the page. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this little part here. Okay, I'm probably going to have to reposition here. But you can see on the bottom of the mast, just above the bracket where it plugs into the main mast, it's this little divot there, a little hole there, and that's where this is supposed to go. Now, I don't think that this is supposed to lean back against the Starfish, although that would be the easiest way to put this on. I think what I'm going to have to do is make up some sort of a jig or something that is going to hold this at the right angle, because I think it's supposed to be out at a more like a 45-degree angle out from the, it's hard to grab hold of here. Okay, yeah, I think it's supposed to be out more of an angle like this, not back at an angle like this, leaning against the Starfish. Yeah, I think that something like that is about the way it's supposed to go. So what I'm going to try to do is, like I say, I'm going to try and rig something up with the helping hands maybe that will hold this just right, and then we'll let the glue cure, and then I'm going to try and be able to release it without breaking it off. At least that's the plan. Okay, here we go. Going to use the Tamiya extra thin quick setting. Now, speaking of Tamiya, just probably an hour ago, I finished watching Peter from Oscale Modeling. He had a premiere of one of his episodes, and what he had done is he had gone through the Tamiya store in Bangkok, Thailand. Wow, I had no idea Tamiya had so much stuff. Anyway, let's just see what's going to happen here. You know what? I probably waited too long. I probably talked too long here. Okay, we got it for sure that time. Alright, we'll just let that meld. Give it about half an hour. I'm realizing now that I should have had the macro lens on when I was putting the Tamiya glue on that joint right there. And it's getting kind of late. Over an hour has passed since I did this. I think that the best way to release this will be to and put as little stress as possible on this is to do it like this. And I'm just going to carefully twist the screwdriver until that comes apart. There we go. Alright, now the other one, the tiny one, it has to go on up here. I guess we're going to have to recompose here, and I will put the macro lens on. Now, it has taken me several minutes to get to this place, get everything all lined up. On the bottom of that platform, there is a tiny little dimple. And what I'm hoping to do is to drag that hook-shaped thing into the dimple, and so it'll be under tension like it is right now. Okay. Now, don't bump anything. Okay. Let's leave that for a while. In fact, I'm going to say we'll see you in the morning. Well, it is morning. And as I promised, well, I sort of promised, we're going to turn the page. We're done with 31. Well, 32 is simple. All we have to do is drop this piece onto this piece. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're actually ready to glue it down. Well, we'll get these two pieces out here. We did have them on the model table a week ago. I'm sure I didn't throw them out. Anyway, you know, that was a lot of fun editing out those, syncing up those three cameras that I had going earlier this morning. I think that's probably the first time that I've actually had three cameras going at the same time in this editing program. And for those of you who are wondering, what program do I use for this, series? And what I'm using is DaVinci Resolve version 18 Studio. And the reason I got the Studio version instead of just using the free version, which most people use, is because the Studio version will render out 8K video should I choose to shoot in 8K, which occasionally I have. I think I've put out about 6 or 8 8K little segments. I don't think I put out an entire episode in 8K, but I do a special, something that I want extra sharp. Like, let's say I was to do just a little 3 or 4 minute, segment on this. I might do it in 8K, so it'll bring out all the detail as crisp as possible. But enough about that. Now, what are we going to do here? Well, let's get our pieces. What is 33? Oh my goodness! There, that looks better. Now, it seems to me that I had said about 2 days ago that when we're done here, I'd put this on the rotator and we'd take a nice close look as to how it came out. I do realize that when we take a close look, everything looks terrible. But we'll just have to put up with that, I guess. Now, this thing is so tall that we can't really zoom in on the whole thing all at once. I do believe we've already taken a look at the guns and the searchlights, this area, but we haven't seen this area, and we haven't seen this area. So yeah, let's just take a few seconds here and just take a look at it before it's painted. I know it's going to look better after it's painted. Okay, just one quick turn here on the lower section. We've already done this. I remember talking about the fact that the flat clear did not work out as well as I'd thought. Okay, let's move up a bit. Okay, I was thinking that this deck might have had some kind of texture on it, but I think that's just the plastic, because it seems to be the same on the underside as it is here. Now, I'm definitely not going to be wanting to glue these pieces together right now, because it's going to be a lot easier to paint separately. For instance, I think that the deck, this deck here and this deck here should be the same, and I'm going to have to mask somehow. Well, I might be able to just carefully brush along there so I don't get the the deck tan where the planking is, and then also the bulkheads here, we got to get those painted. And so in other words, we don't want to be gluing this together now. I'm going to have to just sort of sit back here a little bit and think about doing the painting and so on, and most of that will be done off camera, so I don't know what tomorrow's episode is going to be like, or how long it's going to be. Let's put it that way. It could be really, really short. I find that I can do a much better job painting by brush if I don't try to do it on camera. Now, when we were looking at the module there a little while ago with the antennas and all the rest of it, I was thinking how much easier it would have been if I had have taken a lot of those smaller pieces and painted them before I glued them together, and then glued them together. And then just touched up where the joint was, where the glue was. At least that was my thinking on it. But yeah, I do realize that I have to paint that other module first. Well, by first I mean before we, glue it down. Okay. You know what, folks? I think I'm going to call it a day for today's episode. So. Thanks for watching, everybody, and all being well, we'll be seeing you tomorrow.